we've got one more speaker before lunch, and I want you guys to give him all of your attention. He has been on quite the journey with Brenda and this team. He has found a way to articulate a story in a way that can't help but move you into a different level, and not think about what you can possibly do with the struggles that you've been through and the interactions that you have. He's also a good friend of mine. Gave me my favorite nickname. Anthony Russo, AR-15. You know, Second Amendment kind of name. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to give it up for Coffee Cup Chuck. Chuck Doyle. Let's go.
What's good, people? How y'all doing? Man, first of all, everyone looks beautiful. I just gotta say this. Was anybody cold as heck coming in here today? God, man, it's like last week. It was barbecue weather. Anyway, I first want to start off by saying it is an honor. A lot of people don't know my story, but it is an honor to be able to have been through many of the things that I've been through in my life. And to be able to come out on all of those things and stand up here in front of y'all today. Especially when many of those things that I went through in my life, man, all of that stuff was right here in Omaha, Nebraska. All of that stuff was here. Oh man, it's such an honor, man. Anyway, a long time ago, many years ago, my mom and my dad, they got into a drag-out fight. Left both of them bloody and bruised. They fought each other so hard that after the fight, there was definitely no reconciliation. So they got divorced. And at the time, we were living in Chicago, Illinois, where I was born. And my mom had to make a decision because her parents, my grandparents, moved from Chicago, Illinois a few years earlier, and they moved to Omaha, Nebraska. So my mom had to decide if she was going to raise me and my older brother in Chicago with my dad nearby, or if she was going to take off across the country and move closer to her parents. Well, as you can see, she took the other one, and we moved to Omaha, Nebraska. Man, I went to school here. I got in most of my trouble here. When I say I got in a lot of trouble here, I got in a lot of trouble here. Made a lot of mistakes here too. And many of those mistakes, like Manuel, many of those mistakes, it landed me in prison at a very young age of 14. I caught the case when I was 14, but I was actually sentenced and in prison at 15. Man, you would have thought that would have stopped. You would have thought that being 15 years old and going to prison would have actually scared me straight. Unfortunately, for the next 2.5 decades, I will repeat the same actions over and over again. Sending me back and forth to prison, state prison 3 times and feds once. And I just got to a point, man, I was like, dude, you gotta do something. I'm losing all my time. Missing out on all birthdays, all my family, man. Why? Making stupid mistakes. So I got to a point where I had to change it. And when I got out of federal prison, I made a decision. I said, I ain't coming back. I'm not coming back. For the longest time, though, I hated Nebraska. I hated it here. This state sent me to prison at a young age. Sent me to prison, man. And it, in my mind at the time, ruined my life. The mistakes that I made at that point, I felt it should have been left as a juvenile crime. You know, I would have had the chance at life outside of that. But over time, I started maturing and I started changing for the better. And one day I got to thinking, man, without Nebraska, without all of my mistakes, without all of the pain, I wouldn't be who I am today. Man, ain't that nothing? Anyway, does anybody by any chance have a birthday in here today? Anybody?
Miles.
Miles?
Every day's a birthday.
It's what?
No, it's not.
Anyway, I asked that question for a reason. Because today, this is, like I said, it's an honor to be up here. Today happens to be my mother's birthday. And even though she's not here with us, she passed on, of course, she's here with us. So, with that being said, I want each and every one of you to help me celebrate this birthday with her. All I need you to do is point one finger where she's at. Where's that? Heaven. Up to heaven. And I want you to, on a count of 3, as loud as you can, say, "Happy birthday, Mom." Can y'all do that for me? Well, let's do it then. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, Mom! Yes! That was loud, man, and I know she heard it. I know she heard it, and I know she's proud of it and all that. And thank you guys for that. Thank you. But today's subject, I think, is on being unbreakable, right? So why not talk about one of the most unbreakable people I know? That person just so happens to be my mom. Somebody who raised 6 boys.
Wow.
6. That's crazy, ain't it? 6 boys without a father in the house. 6 boys. And you know what we did to that woman? We bent her. We bent her over. We, from school, in trouble. And you already know the streets. They took me early. So you know what I did too. You know what that did to her. But not only did we throw a lot of stuff at her, life threw a lot of stuff at her. But the crazy thing about that is I never saw that woman break. I never saw her. I never saw her break. Even when there was no dads to help her out. That's crazy. It's crazy how life does you. Well, she died October 2nd of 2023. But before that woman went, she taught me what unbreakable really looked like. In 2021, me and my brother, my oldest brother, we came down here to Omaha, Nebraska, packed my mom up and moved her to Kansas. You see, her health was starting to get bad. She was diagnosed a few years earlier with COPD. For anyone that doesn't know what COPD is, it's an acronym and it stands for Chronic Obstructive Pulmonary Disease. It is a very progressive lung disease that takes away all your good tissue and turns it bad. It restricts you from breathing. Just imagine trying to breathe through a straw. Think that would be hard, right? Well, guess what? Now imagine that straw getting smaller and smaller and smaller over time. So her health, it got bad. When we moved her to Kansas, it never stopped getting worse. But first she started by going through ambulance in her apartment to the hospital. And then she would make it back home. Then it got worse. She would go to the hospital, to the rehab, and then home. And then I got a call one afternoon that she was back in the hospital. But this time, they put her on a ventilator. And everybody who lived through 2020 knows about the ventilator. Yeah. That freaked me and my brother out. That freaked us out. Because up to that point, every time we knew somebody who went on one of those things, a couple of days later, they were gone. And I remember that day in that hospital, standing at the end of her bed with my brother next to me. And we just watched her. And ladies and gentlemen, it is nothing like seeing a machine strapped to your mom, who's got this big giant mask on her face, and the air that's being forced into her body, and then the carbon dioxide being sucked out because she can't do it on her own. That tore us up because we weren't ready for moms to go. And I remember standing there telling my brother, like, man, why is she, man, what the heck? Why is she fighting? Her lungs will never get better. Never get better. But she's fighting. And she could barely see us. I mean, when she breathed out all that air, it fogged up the lens a lot. So you couldn't really see her. She couldn't really see. It was just crazy. But I stayed there in the hospital that night, in the visiting area. And I remember waking up the next morning, y'all, to go see mom, see how she's doing. And as I'm walking up the corridor, I hear fussing. Fussing. And at first, I'm like, man, that sounds like my mom. No, that's not mom. That can't be her because guess what? She was on a ventilator. Doctor that night told us that this is probably going to be her for the rest of her life. Then a doctor told us later on that evening, it's probably time to start calling your family up to who maybe want to say last words. Before the night even ended, she even came back in there and doctor was like, hey, it might also be a good time to schedule the chaplain. And that was it. I wanted to go to sleep. So I went in and I went to sleep. And like I said, I woke up the next morning, heard this voice as I'm walking up the hall. And lo and behold, man, I walked in her room and she's sitting there arguing with the doctors and nurses. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh crap. What the heck? A few hours. It was crazy. A couple of days, she was in a rehab. A week or two later, she was back at home. This went on for about 4 or 5 months. Until, of course, she eventually went October 2nd of 2023. But before that woman went, before she went, I had to ask her. I remember sitting in her room, in her apartment when she made it back home. And I'm like, Mom, you are amazing. And I gotta ask you, when we were in that room that day, and we were standing at the foot of your bed, we thought you were gone. How did you pull out of that? And you know what that woman told me? She told me, son, I could barely see y'all, but I knew you were there because I could make out the structure of your body and I could see your faces. I seen your faces. And you know what your face said, son? It said you wasn't ready for me to go. So, both of y'all became my reason.
Yeah.
You became my reason. We became our moms. We became our anchor, man. You can't tell me that's not unbreakable. You can't tell me that. You see, being unbreakable, it doesn't mean you don't bend. It means you're bendable, but you don't snap.
Yeah.
And like Izzy said earlier, like you said, you hit it on the nose. Trees, they don't. Those trees that survive those storms, they don't survive because they're rigid. Like Izzy said, they survive because they're bendable. They're flexible. They move in the wind, just like each and every one of us. That's the way life has programmed us for that right there. They blow in the wind. It's crazy. But it's crazy to see and to know that she was fighting it as hard as she was fighting. And I couldn't believe when I seen how, she was responding from all that. But I just wanna say, being unbreakable doesn't mean you don't bend, girl. And right now I got 3 things that I wanna present to you that might just help you understand how to become a little more bendable, how to become a lot more unbreakable. And for this, I know we got books, I know you can write notes down. I know you have pens and pieces of paper, but this one right here, I don't want you to write it down. You got cell phones. Everyone in here has access to a cell phone. And you take that cell phone with you every single where you go. So I'm gonna want you to put this in your cell phone. You can text yourself, you can email yourself. There's so many apps on that phone that you can use. But this is important. First thing I want you to put in there is you gotta have an anchor. You gotta have an anchor, because when life throws you all that pressure, oh, you better have a reason. You better have a reason. And that reason better be bigger than any fear you might have. It better be bigger than any pain, any diagnosis that a doctor would give you. It better be bigger than that. Does anybody in here? No, I'm not going to go there yet. I'm going to do the second one. First of all, that anchor. You got it written down? Your anchor. You got to understand that you're not just going to have that anchor. You got to understand what that anchor means to you. My mom's anchor was her children. We meant so much to her that it empowered her. So I want you to do me a favor. I want you to write down what your anchor would be. What does that anchor look like? And when you write that anchor down, I want you to do me a favor, and I want you to focus on it for a second. Just focus on what you wrote down. What does this person, place, or thing mean to you? You understand where I'm coming from? For everybody who wrote it down, for everyone who got themselves that anchor in mind, for everyone who focused on it, you just accepted the 30-day challenge. Because for the next 30 days, I'm going to want you to, for 5 to 10 minutes a day, I'm going to want you to look at that phrase, person, place, or thing you wrote down. And I want you to focus on it 5 to 10 minutes a day. And you know what happens? You know what comes out of that? You create a habitual habit. And guess what, people? Habitual habits make perfect anchors. Number 2, you have to become bendable. You got to teach yourself to become bendable, because hard times will bend you, people. You got divorce, it'll bend you. Failure, it'll bend you. What else that'll bend you? You got all these things out here to bend you. But guess what? Just because they bend doesn't mean you have to break. You don't have to break. And guess what? There's a lot of growth. There's a whole lot of growth in bending. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole lot. Last but not least, you gotta want it like you want breath. You gotta want it like you want to breathe, people. I want y'all to do me a favor. I want everyone to take in a deep inhale. Now hold it. Now let it out, because I ain't trying to kill nobody in here. Reason why I did that is because I want you guys to understand you had an option. You had an option to let your breath out. My mom didn't have that option. She had to have help doing that. And the point I'm trying to make here is you can't halfway want transformation, people. You can't. You can't casually want freedom. You gotta want change in your life, man, like you want oxygen. You gotta want change in your life like you want oxygen, man. If somebody is holding your head underwater, are you gonna sit there and negotiate with them? Is that what y'all gonna do? No. You're gonna fight for it, man. You're gonna fight for it. And that's how you're supposed to fight for your purpose. That's exactly how you're supposed to fight for your purpose. For your purpose.
Back up. Back up, microphone.
Your purpose.
I have a feeling. Microphone.
Man, that sound ain't bad. Anyway, where was I at? Yeah. You gotta find your purpose. Yeah, that threw me off big time. Anyway, You gotta find your purpose. Man. Huh?
Can't halfway want transformation.
Yeah, you can't want transformation, God. Anyway, my mom's lungs, they were bruised, but her will was strong. Yeah, they were strong. Her body was failing her, but she had a strong anchor. And one thing that I know, people, I know I'm getting ready to get out of here, but one thing I do know is I know that if you have breath in your body, you have a purpose. Every breath that you breathe is proof that your life is not over. It's proof that your life is not over. So I want you guys to remember something for me. When life starts feeling like that ventilator in you, when pressure's on your chest, when fears strapped around your face, I want you to do one thing for me. I want you to remember that as long as you got breath in your body, you have an opportunity to change. I'm international speaker, Dr. Coffee Cup Chuck, and thank you for joining me for another powerful message. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope you understand that your breath is so important. Use it properly. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and as always, say positive.
Give it up for Coffee Cup Chuck, ladies and gentlemen.